Hey, and welcome to Living Title IX with Betsy. That's me. And you are in the ICS living room. We're so glad you're with us. And today we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about your relationship with your counsel, or as I would say, who's in charge. And so the first thing I want to talk about here is what is the role? What is your role versus what is the counsel's role? So you and your district or your institution are the client. So you are taking the advice of your counsel. It is their job to provide advice. And sometimes what we see is that schools get confused about this and they think, oh, counsel's responsible if something goes wrong. When in fact, it's us as the practitioners. And I say us because I spend most of my time practicing on the ground like you all, and not in my attorney role. I am also an attorney and I also provide legal advice to some institutions and districts, but thinking about how that role works from a practitioner standpoint is really what we're going to talk about today. So again, remember, you're the client, they're providing advice. Now, some of you are going to have really, really amazing counsel and they're in-house and they're working really close with you. Some of you are going to have maybe not such amazing counsel. And we have to work through that like we would with anyone in any position that maybe isn't as strong. So today we're also going to talk through how to develop those relationships and make sure that your district is getting the most out of your legal counsel. So let's think through your responsibility. Your responsibility is to do the work on the ground. We want you to get to know your counsel, but to also understand how to do the work. So why is training important for you? Well, one, training is important because it's required. We hope that your counsel is also trained. We train counsel all the time. I think it's so important that they're trained in the same way that you are, but it's your job as the coordinator to be trained. And we know that OCR is going to come in and say, hey, is your coordinator trained? They're not going to come in and say, is your counsel trained? So next, we also need to think about your training is required because you are the one putting in the practice. You are the one doing the work on the ground every day and making sure that your campus is compliant. Your counsel is not going to have much to do with your prevention work or your barriers work and eliminating barriers that's required under the 2024 regulations. They're not going to have so much to do with the day in and day out response to reports and providing those supportive measures. So you need to know how to do those. Your attorneys are really going to be focused on policy and when stuff starts to go wrong, but it's your job to do the day-to-day practice. And then also just remember, your counsels aren't always specialized in Title IX. And so we hope that they're relying on other attorneys who specialize in this area to get additional training or to come in and help support you. But their job is generalized education law. And so when we think about all that that could potentially cover, it's giant. So it's very hard for them to specialize directly in this area. So you need to work very closely with them, and they're going to rely a whole lot on you, even if you're not an attorney, to provide them with, hey, what's happening in this arena? And then how do you grow that relationship, whether your counsel is amazing or your counsel is, maybe not so amazing? We want you to have lunch with them, have coffee with them, get to know them, start to get on the same page, but not just when something's going wrong. It's so much easier to triage tragedy or trouble or struggles when you have a really great relationship. It's hard when you don't know that person. So if you don't know who your counsel is, get to know them, send them an email, invite them to lunch, do all of those things to make sure that you're on the same page. And get trained yourself, because that's really important, especially when your counsel is maybe not the greatest. Counsels out there, I'm not calling you out. I know your plates are exceptionally full. You have a whole lot going on. So I also want you, though, to make sure that you know your Title IX coordinator. And if that is not a relationship that you have built, please, please, please go ahead and do that. All right, so a couple of things before I sign off from you today. One, make sure that you like, comment, share, follow, all of those things to keep getting more of our materials. Also, we want you to comment mugshot, and we will send the first person to comment mugshot on this video a Title IX mug just like this. It will come directly to you after we connect with you. Our mugshot today from our team is Jared. Jared happens to be my husband and also videoing this today, so yay, thanks. And he's a big part of the ICS team. So he's out there coaching baseball and holding that awesome Title IX mug. So we want to see you and your mug shots. And then before we sign off, just remember the 3 things that we end with. Laugh at yourself, celebrate those small victories, and support each other. This work is hard, but you've got this. Thanks.